So basically what it is it's the people hug one area. Now, in other countries, this distribution of population may be more to the equality side. Okay? Where the value of equality is greater than the value of freedom and the security that may come with that equality. In others, you may get a kind of a bimodal. In other countries, in certain states, or in certain, for example, certain communities. I would have to say that Ann Arbor, the city of Ann Arbor, much more to the left than, say, maybe the city of Hastings, in terms of what's the role of government and the ideas of equality versus freedom and self-determination decisions. Okay, so different pockets, but as a whole, the country, someplace in the majority of individuals, and we see that based upon the elections for president, specifically the only national election we have. And we see that the country is fairly split between those individuals who purport to be pushing for more equality and those individuals who purport to be pushing for more freedom, or at least maintain the status quo. I mean, even the last election, which by political terms was a definite a blowout for Barack Obama, still your percentages were fairly high. Okay? And this is actually pretty good, because we hear a lot today, we wiggle back and forth, we hear a lot today that America is a center-right nation. America is a center-right nation. When they say center-right, this is exactly what they're referring to. Center-right. That the population, or at least a plurality of the population, preponderance, is to the right of center. Okay? Well, what does that mean? Hang on. If you were to look at party identification, however, individuals who call themselves Democrats versus Republicans versus then it actually is center-left, at least by party identification. Okay? But ideology and political parties do not line up 100%. Just because a person calls himself a Republican does not necessarily mean the ideology is a Republican ideology. It may be a libertarian ideology. Or a person may call themselves a Democrat, but it's a socialist ideology, or a socialist, but it's a Democrat ideology. Okay, so we don't get a 100%, or a person may not call themselves any partisan, even though their ideology is strongly Democrat or strongly Republican. They may not associate with either party. That happens too. So you don't get a one-for-one party to ideology. It's important to realize that there are no gaps here in the ideological spectrum. You are someplace. Everybody is someplace on the ideological spectrum. But there are gaps and overlaps in political parties. Okay, because that takes an active, not just your beliefs, but you have to actually associate. All right, so these are the values. These are the ends, right? The poles. Again, this is the center, so I guess this would be 50-50, right? We call individuals in the center moderates or independents. Independents because they don't join one of the two parties. Moderates because they are not towards the extremes. But finding somebody who's a true 50-50 moderate, yeah, because what you're really talking about is a role of government that is balanced between doing something and not doing something. And it's very tough to make those choices, even if you collectively take your beliefs and say, well, I believe this on this issue, but I believe this on this issue, and then you add them all up, and hey, look at that, 50-50. Even when you try to do that, you're still you're still making decisions, that, well, I'm okay with abortion, but, I'm also okay with, prayer in school. I think that the government should get out of the death penalty, but I do believe in life sentence. You have to start going through each of these different issues of what government can do and making decisions as to whether or not you want more government or less government. And generally what happens is you will fall on one side or the other.
Okay, would it be safe to say that it would actually be based on benefit, because you're not going to go for anything that is costly, correct?
Well, you're back to the idea of rational moving up. And so you have to base that upon what you would believe would be a benefit to you, right? Right? So the benefits to individuals up here are definitely different than the benefits to this other group of individuals here. We start talking about taxation and allocation. We start talking about education or health care. You can see where, for one group of individuals, they'd see that maybe as a cost, where the other group would say that that's a benefit. You're spot on. And in rational individuals, don't call the outlets, but rational individuals, they want to move up the quality of life or maintain their position. They don't want to move down. And the problem is, and I think we started out with this, the problem is, because of scarcity of resources, there's not room at the top for every single person. That's why resources are scarce. Now, you take away the scarcity of resource, right? There's more room at the top. Right? Energy becomes free, whether it's from the sun or from the wind or from whatever. It becomes free. You pull it from the air. You know, Tesla's idea. It becomes free. Then the resources, right, have just expanded. Everybody's quality of life moves up. Okay? It becomes more room. Food, you know, and generally speaking, food is plentiful. Generally speaking, but we do not. I mean, there are individuals who go to bed hungry, there's no doubt about it. That's more of a problem getting the food to the individual than it is having enough food. Whereas other countries, it's not a question of getting the food to the individual, it's not having enough food. But having said that, the resource is there. We have a better way of getting the food to the individual, the resource is there, everybody's quality of life goes up. So more room, right? Number of seats in the classroom, number of teachers to teach them, more room, more resource, everybody's quality goes up. But as long as the resources remain scarce, for whatever purpose, there's not that room at the top for everybody. And you create, because of that, you create that strife, that struggle. But yeah, you're right, benefit, not cost benefit. And the one thing to add to this spectrum here, one thing to add to the spectrum is the government wedge. Just to kind of put a fine point on it here. And I didn't realize these came in light blue. Nothing makes a professor more happy than no. Okay. All right. So, where was I? Okay. So what we have is we got the full side of a lot of government. Actually, 100% equality is almost 100% government. Everybody, you know, distinguishing between who is part of the government and not part of the government becomes very difficult to do. And then to the far 100% freedom side, where we're making decisions for ourselves, we're deciding for ourselves who gets what. Back to the jungle law, no government, zero government, no need for it, right? You decide for yourself who gets what. The role of government is gone. So, zero, extensive. The 50-50 point. Everybody hugs the center because they like those two values, equality and freedom. Who doesn't want to be treated equally? Oh, come on. Who doesn't want to be treated equally? Come on. Okay, good. Who doesn't want to be treated freely? Who doesn't want freedom? Oh, come on. You don't like freedom? Okay, all right. So you two are extremes, right? But the idea is that when you talk about freedom, you talk about equality, again, which government can give you one or the other, not both at the same time. Individuals want both of those things, which pushes us to the center. Now the question, however, is, it's not to what degree government should be there. I shouldn't say that. It's not whether or not government should be there. It's how much government. How much government. So this group of individuals here, they need government. At the very least, they need government to secure and protect the craft they've already acquired. Okay? You get it, you got to keep it. Government comes in very handy for that.
That's what because in either case you have to maintain order in order to
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, you're 100% correct. And the same thing down here. Without government, these guys are not going to give it up. Okay? So how do you wrest control of some of those resources, or your equal amount of those resources from this group up here? That's where government comes in. The government's a great equalizer. Government decides who gets what. So both sides recognize the need for government. The question is how much, and then what, of course, its role should be. If you're to the right, we'll call this the Republican, or Republicanism, if you want to talk ideology, the Republican side, just to the right of center. They want a little less government. Not no government. That's a misconception. Republicans aren't anti-government, they're anti-big government. Okay? And then just to the left of center, now you're talking democratism.